Hello, my name is Zach Good. I'm a solution advisor here at Navigator Business Solutions, and today I'll be guiding you through a day in the life of a professional services company using SAP's S/4HANA public cloud solution. So currently logged into SAP, this is my home dashboard screen. I have it configured to my day-to-day operations as well as different roles that I play throughout the company. Throughout this video, you'll see me switch through roles such as a project manager, a resource manager, and the accounting and finance piece. I first want to start out on what it would look like as if I was playing the project manager role. I have different pages, spaces, as well as applications to help me fulfill my project daily task. But the first thing I'd like to do as a project manager is understand the health of my overall projects. If I scroll down in my Insight tiles, you can see I have a project health report tile that provides me KPIs, dashboards, and insights to my project. These are configured to my liking, and certainly here at Navigator Business Solution, we can work with you on making sure that you have the KPIs, dashboards, and screens that you need to fulfill your daily operations and make that data that you're executing tangible. So in this project health report, I like to see my missing time and staffing, margin analysis, and working capital. This gives me good indication of where my projects are and how I need to execute and make sure my clients and team is on point. So going back into my dashboard screen, the next thing I like to do is track my projects. And throughout this demonstration, we're going to go through some different screens that monitor the project. SAP does a great job of providing different options based off of user preference, as well as we'll talk about how we set up a project and get staff to a project. So the first thing I'm going to dive into is my project control for professional services application. This is a great quick glance to see where my projects are in their overall stage. I have initial information of myself as the project manager and who the customer is. From here, I can take a project, select it, and you'll see throughout as I'm working through the solution, I should say, that SAP works in the spirit of few clicks. So from here, I can open and review my customer project at a different glance. I can see a staffing analysis as well as missing time and my contract or statement of work pricing. But first, let's dive into this project here. So as I'm viewing this project, this is a glance that gives me some of the general information as well. My planning information, what work packages, and we'll touch on work packages here in just a minute, that are assigned to this project. My glance at staffing overall of plan versus actual times and who is delivering that and if the time is billable or non-billable. Any purchasing that is involved in this project would be linked here, and then finally time recording capabilities. Up top you see the statement of work. So anything in S/4HANA Public Cloud that has a blue hyperlink is a draw into capability. So if I need to see what's on the overall statement of work, it will allow me to dive into that by just clicking on it, and it will populate the statement of work. Here I can see the contract line items, whether it's time and expenses, services, products, etc., that I can view, and it will also help me with my billing elements as well. We are able to handle fixed price, time and expenses, periodic services, and a couple more options. This gives me the general information of the statement of work, and also gives me great document tracking of what's taking place. So there's a project associated to this statement of work. I can see the invoicing, any returns, etc. Going back here, the next thing I'd like to view is plan customer projects. In my plan customer projects, this is where we set up the project overall. Certainly we can copy from other projects if you're a company that has similar project execution. We can have special project templates that we upload for you. We're very flexible on how we can fulfill your business needs and operations. You can see in the project initial information that there are some controls, whether billing can take place of this project, staff can post time, etc. So this gives you a nice high level information overall, and you can see overall effort, cost, and revenue, and it providing you that margin up top here. Now I'd like to talk about the concept of work packages. If you're a company that's very specific and or has client specific needs. I remember working with a client that each phase or milestone they wanted to see who was staffed to that phase and milestone, their total hours and expenses rolled up to have better granular tracking. And so we can set those work packages up for you, as many as you'd like. If you're just a client that wants to staff the overall project and have one work package, certainly that works great as well. This is where we'll set up all of our plan values and budget for the project. So you can see in this demo example, I have 5 work packages. I can see that they've all been staffed, especially up top here and down low. And then if there isn't any staffing, though, SAP will provide trigger warnings for you. But if I drill into this information, I can see what role. So this project requires a project manager and a consultant. I can see that there's been skills assigned and their total effort planned, and we'll work with the rates that you need to have for each role. So we can handle employee salary, burden rates, overhead, your individual rates for roles such as project managers, so that you're getting that true costing tracking throughout your project. Any additional resources can be assigned down here, as well as some pre-planned expenses, so that you are calculating based off your correct margin. Next in my plan of the customer projects, we have our team members here. And so if I were to select edit in my team member, I can see the role, who the person assigned. If I need to assign skills, maybe it's a project manager and they need to have a PMP certification in their effort. And this isn't just total effort of hours. You have the ability as a project manager to spread those hours across the months of the duration of the project. And then it will start tracking your cost and revenue. If I needed to add a resource or add a role, I can select add a resource and click go, and it's going to pull up a whole list of my overall company staff and their availability and different details, and I can drill into that employee information. For example, if I were to click on Adrian, it's going to pull up some initial information, and I can display the worker in our overall employee master data. So this is in the billing section where we set up our billing elements. Again, I mentioned it could be fixed price, time and expenses, periodic services will automatically link to your statement of work. And so as you're creating change orders, you would just add a new billing element and the system will update that for you. I find that our clients that use the system love that, because we all know projects require change. That's why we have this versions here. You start out when you create a project with a baseline, and as the project changes, different needs and requirements take place. It's updating and tracking that information, giving you a change log overall of what is taking place in your project. With your fixed price, certainly you can add more detail to the billing element, such as descriptions, different dates of maybe you have a down payment that is due. Here's an example, and then second chunk, first chunk, second chunk, and it will always keep track of your invoice status of what's been invoiced and what's still to be remaining. So that's a little bit about planned customer projects and setting up a project. Another view I'd like to show you is the overall tracking of a project. So as a project manager, I log into the solution. I'm viewing this project here, and I truly want to know what's is taking place at a high level. And I feel that this is a great report that gives you that indication in this display project. The solution overall tells you what stage it's in, its revenue sold, its overall margin, and then the margin at completion. And as I scroll down from financial performance, I can see my plans versus actual, work performance, all the different work packages and their plan versus actual effort. I now see my staffing information as well as the invoice tracking and its status. So this is really giving you a great visibility of how the project is working at a quick glance. If you need to send this report to team members, you have the ability to share that through Microsoft Teams, and a great collaboration built within the solution. And going off the spirit of the few clicks, you can see a lot of times in SAP provides this related applications. So from here, I can go from this screen and go to review customer project. And this is probably the last piece I'm going to show as far as project tracking goes as a project manager, but this is going to give me my overall percentage of completion and more margin analysis of what is taking place from plan, staffed, and actual. The different versions I talked about, if there has been changes, it will track those different versions of what has taken place. So you really have great insight into how your project and team members are executing. Okay, so now I'm going to change roles. Certainly in professional services, your staff is everything to you, they are your product. And so SAP does a great job of taking it to the next level. They have an additional resource manager add on that speaks to and works with SAP projects for professional services. And if I log on here to my resource manager screen, this is my view. Now, certainly, you might be a company that's in the position where you know all your employees, you know where all projects that they're working on and their vacation, and it's tracked in Excel fine and working great, and that's awesome. But as you continue to grow and prosper, managing your staff is tougher. It's a lot to keep track of. I know I was a resource manager at my previous company, and sometimes I had employees working on 15 different projects at a time, and you ultimately want to make sure that you have that balance between that they're working enough and also have the ability to have a work life balance. So that's very important. And so this is the resource manager view page. And so, how the system works is as your project manager is setting up a project, understands the roles that need to take place, they will send the resource team, or myself in this demo situation, a resource request. So, as a resource manager throughout the day, I can dive into my resource request where here I can see all the different types of roles that are needed in their different projects. And I can say, okay, Jim just sent me a resource request for a senior consultant for this project. I dive in as a resource manager to view that information, and it's going to tell me what Jim needs. So I can see the priority, the status, the overall demand details and work package details, some more resource request details, the overall effort that he is asking. He needs 30 hours, and then the required skill. You can see an intermediate level and its importance is mandatory. Maybe the client is requesting this, and then any additional staffing assignments. And he thinks that Jocelyn Holt is a great fit for this. So once I'm ready and agree on this information, what I'll do is I'll publish it, and that generates a staff request. So going back into my resource manager home screen, I now can take that resource request and say it's now a staff request, and I can view my staff request. So I drew into the staff request. You'll see it's a lot of the same information, but this gives me more detail on now I know what is needed. I can go out and look at my team and match those resources. So the artificial intelligence and machine learning that the system has goes out and looks at all of your employee master data, will give you a breakdown of who's a total match, an availability match, and a skills match, where here I can assign them and schedule them out, or if they need to be on the project tomorrow, I can quick assign them. I also have the ability as a resource manager. If I think these three are a great fit, but I want to choose who's best, I can have the system do a comparison and it will give me that indication of the skills comparisons, and overall, I can provide the best resource for this project at that time period based off of skill and availability. The final piece as a resource manager is certainly you need to know where your employees are at projects and how they're staffed and your capacity. And so I get a lot of requests like I just some of this functionality is great, but I really just want to see everyone and have a great holistic view of my staff. So SAP provides this manager resource utilization, where here a resource manager can go in, see all their staff members, and see their overall utilization. This is in a week. They can see it by month. They can also go as detailed by day. You can set your time period. And if I were to drop down, I now can see, for example, all of the projects they're on and how they're staffed. If I need to make changes to these staffing hours, I certainly can. I also have filtering capabilities that I can filter by employees, maybe filter by utilization, or even specific projects. So this is a great tool to have a holistic view of what is currently happening in your company and be able to make the right decisions with great data in front of you. So that's a little bit about resource management. I'm going to jump back into my home dashboard screen. And the last piece I want to talk about is the accounting and financials and give you a taste of that. So now I'm a project accountant, and the first concept I want to view is I want to see the analytics of my projects. So in my project analytics page here, this gives me a great view of project profitability overview. Certainly, I want to know how profitable we are as a company. And this gives me my top projects, my recognized margin, different recognized revenue, and work in process details. Certainly, we can add more KPIs and dashboards out of the box for you to help operate. But this gives me a great view on how I need to execute and make sure our numbers are profitable. The next thing I'd like to view as an accountant is project billing. So SAP provides this managed project billing request. And the concept of this is your project managers are heavily involved and understand the project best and when it's taking place and what needs to be billed. So what the system provides is this concept of a billing request where the project manager will set up based off the billing items and the timing, uh, a fake invoice to say, or a mock invoice, which is a billing request. And so in this application, the project manager will set up the invoice request. Once it's ready, they can post it, and this will be sent to your accounting and finance team where they can review the information, make changes, reject it, approve it. It just provides an efficiency. Certainly, you do not have to use this functionality. We can set workflows and automations around your project billing and work with your team once you're comfortable with the solution and make it right for you. But wanted to show just and provide light on this concept because it's a very powerful application that a lot of our clients use on a daily basis. And so once the project billing request becomes an invoice, that will be in our billing documents where I can see all my billing documents, what's been invoiced, what's been canceled, their status as an accountant, and be able to execute and post those invoices. So to give you an example of an invoice, here's an invoice, its overall net value, the line items, and certainly I find with professional services, I get a lot of questions like Zach. All our clients want their invoices to be a certain way. Certainly, we can create invoice templates based off of clients. Have any fields that you need, any additional information, even to the level of for this line item, John, Bill, and Steve work this many hours. If they need to see that granularity, we can make that happen. And then you'll also have the process flow to understand what is taking place and what's being completed. As a project manager, on the concept of billing, if we were to go back into our project control for professional services, this also gives you, we looked at that one view of the display overall projects. But if I were to dive into this project here, this also gives you a view of billing and what's taking place as well that you can jump to and view that information for manage project billing. Here will give you the overall billing for this project if there are any elements that need to take place. So finally, back in my home dashboard screen, the last concept I'd like to talk about is revenue recognition. There's different ways that we can run revenue in the S4 HANA public cloud platform, but today I would like to talk about the event-based revenue recognition. This allows you to run revenue as an accounting finance person at any point at any time within the project. So I have an example here for you where I can go in, I can view already what's happening from an income statement, a balance sheet, plan versus actual estimation of completion, and periodic view. I can set different parameters around the revenue recognition, different ledger accounts. I also can revalue the project. And what's nice about this is you first can run in a simulation where it's going to show you how it affects your overall revenue. And then once you're ready, you can post it. And it's as simple as that. Again, the beauty behind this is you can do this at any point at any time within the project. You also have the ability to enter adjustments, contracts, and then there's different revenue keys that you can change as well. Finally, with the spirit of few clicks, I have the concept of related apps where I can overall view project actuals, project line items, and project profitability. This takes me into my report writing tool, or if I were to change the filter here, it's going to give me that data of my project profitability from recognized revenue to cost adjustments, my deferrals, etc. Anything that you see on the left hand side are different tables and fields that you can add more information to. And then from here, again, in the concept of spirit of few clicks, I can navigate to different reports from here that I have full visibility, and I can export these to Excel, work in Excel, etc. So that's just a high level taste of a day in a life with professional services. I thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or Navigator Business Solutions, and we'd love to help you and work with any questions and work with your business. Have a wonderful day.